What's up, everybody? Hello. Welcome to the Hustling Sideways podcast. I'm Alan Halas. I'm a music writer.
And I'm Jim Love, and I'm a keynote and motivational speaker. And this is episode 51.
51. I had to double.
Why did you
I don't know,
hesitate?
because you said
We just
52
talked
before.
about it.
I know. Episode 51. It really is 51.
Alan is obliterated right now. He is really, really drunk,
I
and
am
so there's
sips
you
into my
just
drink.
can't remember anything. So that
But
was
yes.
that was I was like, you made me rethink the thing that we just talked about 20 seconds ago before getting on.
You know what it is? I am still recovering from National Marquette
And
Day,
that
Jim.
just happened. It is the Monday after NMD, and it is the greatest holiday, made-up holiday in the world.
No, it's a real holiday.
It's a real
Just don't worry
holiday
about it.
since 1996. Fun fact. Yeah, I counted that. But so much fun we had that day.
Absolutely.
That hasn't happened yet.
Marquette
but
won.
It's Monday, and it's great. Yeah, great day.
And they're still ranked, which that's a thing.
That's 100%. Yeah, no
that's
matter
a thing
what.
that happened for
But no,
sure.
we're excited to be back, and very, very, very soon you will be seeing me and Alan in a different room, in a different place. And
We shouldn't probably give away too much yet because we don't know all the logistics.
yeah,
yet.
that's why I'm being really ominous about it.
Yeah.
Like, different room, different
This is
place.
what we call a tease. in
There's
the
there's some
business.
stuff a brewing, and we're excited because you guys are going to see some really cool stuff, and we hope you're excited too. And that's the most abstract statement I've ever made in my life. So I
There
hope
you
that
go.
that gave away everything. You're good.
In the music business, they say big things happening or something like that.
That's what
and
it
that's
is.
all you put on Instagram
Yeah.
is just like big things
Yeah,
happening.
I'm just
And
every
you
day
don't know
till
what
then.
you're just supposed to expect something.
Yeah, we're
big.
I know there's a lot riding on this. So on that note, we have a very special guest today with us.
Yes, let's focus
That
on
was
here
the
and now.
transition of the year, I think, right
Yeah.
there. So we have a very good friend of mine. I'm so excited to have him on, Brian Hendricks. I'm going to read off your credentials. So Brian is the CEO of Dynamic Development, also a podcast host, and a basketball coach, all wrapped in one great guy with a nice shirt over
Thank you. I
there.
appreciate it. Yeah,
Yes,
you
you're
told me
right.
I was being videotaped, so I was like, well, it means I'm putting on a nice shirt today.
I got a text like 4 hours ago. Audio only? I'm like, no, dude, video. Okay, I'll dress up.
Yeah.
Jim, I need you to remind me that we're videotaping.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
as
yeah,
I
I
show up,
didn't comb
it's
my
always pretty
hair.
good when your guests dressed 1,000 times better than you do. And that's where we're at. Yeah.
There you go. I appreciate that. I came right from, or I was going to come right from basketball practice, but had to stop at home because I can't wear sweats. There's a camera involved. I had to put on the
Yeah.
shirt. And,
I mean,
gotta
we
be
would have
nice for
welcomed
you
you as
guys.
you are.
Why,
Thank you. Thank you for your service. We appreciate that. But welcome. We're excited to have you. Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself, just upbringing, family, where you're from, where you're at now. Go.
how much time do you have?
We have 30 seconds. No. go
Okay.
ahead.
No, so I grew up, most people in Wisconsin here are familiar with Six Flags, Great America. I grew up about 10 minutes south of there.
There you go.
So
It's a
I
landmark.
am a fib at heart. Cubs, Bears, Bulls,
Yeah.
all the way. But grew up there. Went to Marquette University after graduating from high school. Oldest of 5 kids. Younger siblings are some in Milwaukee, some in Chicago. Some used to live out in California, so we like to travel, like to move around a little bit.
Awesome.
Mom and dad are in Arizona for 9 months of the year. They're snowbirds.
Awesome.
So
That's
they
the
come-
life.
It
That's
is.
I
It's
know.
wonderful. Yeah. So they come back every summer. Married to a wonderful person who is beautiful, smart, amazing. Jackie. She, her and I met back at Marquette in my undergrad. We have 2 beautiful kids. Almost 5-year-old named Reese, a 3-year-old son named Brooks, and number 3's coming in May.
Hey,
Yes, thank you very much.
congratulations. Congratulations.
But yeah, I got my undergrad at Marquette in broadcast communication. Then I got my first master's from Marquette in leadership, and then I got my second master's at Marquette in counseling.
You have 2 masters.
I have 2 master's degrees,
my
so
gosh.
I'm
Oh,
a little biased when it comes to schools. I love Marquette.
My undergrad is in broadcasting.
Yeah.
I didn't do that though. I didn't go and say, "Hey, let's take some master's classes" at all.
Let's just keep going.
I was
times, yeah.
done and out after 4 years. I was out of there.
Yeah, I kept going back. Yeah. So, it's been interesting. I tell this story too a lot is back when I was in 8th grade, my mom found this 8th grade journal we had to write before she moved. And it said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it was, looking at high school, I was like, well, I want to be the starting third baseman of the Chicago Cubs. That was the dream,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
Solid.
Didn't happen. I wasn't that great at baseball.
Well, there goes this podcast.
Right, exactly. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, jeez.
Well,
but
we knew
underneath
he
it-
wasn't. We knew he wasn't a third baseman, Jim. We knew this.
Right. Well, especially in high school, I was a DH, so I didn't even get to play the field.
Yeah.
But right underneath it, I wrote, and if I can't play baseball, I want to take over Dad's company.
No way.
And I never thought about it again.
Wow.
Because broadcast communication, I thought I was going to be a sports broadcaster.
Yeah.
Master's in leadership, I thought I was going to be a college basketball coach. Master's in counseling, I worked in education for 8 years. And then all of a sudden I started thinking, I was like, oh, taking over dad's business would be kind of fun, doing consulting around leadership, communication, professional development. And I look at my education, degree in communications, a degree in leadership, and a degree in counseling. If I had to sum up what my full-time job is, it's communication, leadership, and counseling.
Without you knowing.
Without me knowing, I was always on this path, which I think is kind of cool.
What a mature thing to put as an 8th grader. Like
I know, right?
I'm like, I think I said I want to be a lion or something. Like I mean, you had legitimate goals. That's
well, and I like that I had
awesome.
a backup plan. Like, that was like, where did that come from? Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
I don't even remember what they said for me in 8th grade. They said I was likely to become I was a big skateboarder, so likely to own a skateboard company, which did happen for like a little bit.
You owned a skateboarding company.
I ran an events company for a little bit with a buddy of mine that lives in Illinois.
Well, there you go. That helps.
There you go. See, so it did work out what you thought.
I guess,
Look at that.
So I guess you learn what you're going to be in 8th grade. That's the moral of today.
That's what if you take anything from today.
That's the show.
8th grade you is right.
Yes.
So what? Okay, education's important to you.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What? So what was the first master's was
leadership studies. Yeah.
So what was that always the plan to go back and do that, or how did that come about?
No,
when you
so
graduated?
broadcast communication undergrad, and I also worked for the women's basketball team.
Okay.
So I was a manager. Got to practice with the team every day, which is great. We were doing laundry, but we were flying all across the country with the team. It was for anybody that loves basketball or any sport, and you get to college, or if you're in college, be a manager. It is the best job on campus, and I will say that forever and ever. But
wow, that's cool.
After graduation, Terry Mitchell, who was the head coach, liked me and liked one of my best friends, Justin Lester, was the other manager, and she said, "We want you guys to hang out and be GAs, graduate assistants." So Justin did all the video stuff, and I did all the recruiting and on-coaching stuff. So basically, Marquette paid for my first master's degree, and my thought was, I want to be a college basketball coach. So leadership makes sense. Like, why not go into leadership and use that as a coach? Yeah. So did that for 2 years. Wound up coaching at Mount Mary University for a year. And I quickly realized how much travel is involved in college athletics.
Yeah.
Especially at the higher level.
It's wild.
It's crazy. You're gone November through March with just the season. Wow.
Yeah. And then there's
Then
on top
you
of
have
that, all the off-season probably recruiting things.
I mean, with basketball specifically, April and July, you're gone all month long. Because it's open recruiting period.
That's exhausting.
June, you're traveling, or maybe you get some time off in June.
Yeah.
And then August comes, you start your individual workouts. September, individual workouts. October, you're back practicing again.
Yeah.
And one of the things, and probably, outside of my faith, the most important thing to me is my family. I'm one of 5. My wife is one of, 4, 7, 8, 9 blended family.
Oh, wow.
So we're both from we always, we knew, when we started dating, we wanted a big family if we were to get married, and it's hard to have families when you're coaching at that level. So, I look at some of these coaches. A great example is, Kara Consuegra, who's the head women's coach at UNC Charlotte. She has 2 kids, is conference coach of the year. I'm like, I don't know how you do this. Like, you are a little superhero for doing this. So for me, I just couldn't do that life and have the kids and the family that I wanted. So that's where the education came in. Became a school counselor and was able to coach high school basketball, which I've been doing for, I've been a head coach for 6 years now, and then was an assistant varsity coach and head JV coach for boys down in Illinois for 2 years before that.
Awesome. What school are you at now? I'm sorry.
Divine Savior Holy Angels, DSHA.
DSHA.
All girls Catholic school right on the west side of Milwaukee.
Yeah. Very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Awesome. And then, so you, your time at Marquette, I know you were an admissions counselor for a little while too. How long did you?
2 years. I did 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The big joke in the admissions community is you're there for 3 or 30.
That's so true.
It's like
And
you're
you
there
leaned
for
more towards
and
3.
I said from the very beginning, I was like, I am here for 3 years, and then I'm going to go work in high schools.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, you can't say that. I'm like, well, I know that. Like, I was wrong. It was only 2 years. But I love that job. It was a great job. Met some great people, and I'm still in contact with some just great human beings.
Yeah. And actually, that's kind of how you and I met.
Exactly.
I was a student as a tour guide. You were a counselor.
Yep.
And we broke a rule, and we went out and had some drinks together.
Yes.
And it worked
What a
out
Jim
well.
Love thing to do.
Yeah, it was.
Wait, he's not a rule follower?
That was a rule that was just so clearly made to be broken for that.
Oh,
It
yes,
was-
absolutely.
and it
Well,
was a
especially
lot.
because as because I think that was, I don't remember if it was my first or second year, but you were moving out really. Like you
Yeah,
were,
yeah. It was
so I was like,
starting to
okay,
go. Yeah,
we're not going to be held to this anymore.
That's great.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
good. That was such a fun crew of people. I mean, I learned
was.
so much from those
Oh,
folks.
it was
and
great.
It's hard to believe that. I mean, it's about to be 10 years ago. Like, here's,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
and
wild.
here's what's wild. Do you remember Mike and Katie Henneke?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at open house for Holy Family because we're looking at kindergartens for our daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their son is going to be in my daughter's class.
Oh my gosh.
Next year.
Two other former
admissions counselors that
Keeping
that
it
are
close
two
to the
of
family,
were my
yeah.
closest friends there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now our kids are going to school. I'm like, dude,
Life is coming at everybody in this room very
It
fast.
really is.
It
wild.
is,
And
yes.
it's so I love that. I was just talking to someone today, like particularly Milwaukee, more specifically Marquette, the 1 degree of separation from everyone. I mean, it's really, and that's why people call it a family, like, and that's an overused term.
Yeah.
But it oftentimes quite literally is a family.
It is.
You know,
Yeah.
It is.
Everyone marries each other. It's like it's a bunch of incest happening at the school. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like all the friends are getting together. They all have
Phrasing,
kids.
I would say the phrasing. Let's say the friends are getting
Yeah, I say the
together.
friends are getting together. It's not so much the incest.
There you
Yeah.
go, right? And it's really it's very unique. I mean, there's not many other places that are like that, and that's why everyone's really close, you know, and feels like this obligation to. I mean, I have friends, 2 years older than me, a big friend group, and they all married each other, and like all their kids are like they're basically cousins. And
Yep.
It's like
Yep.
that's your college friends. There's a group of 25 of them, and they're all paired off. It's just incredible. Like,
Again,
and,
basically cousins, not a great one to roll with still. I just
Alan
want to
just
point
stuck
that
on-
out
stuck on the
because
analogy.
somebody at home definitely was thinking that when you said it.
Oh,
so I'm just
absolutely.
saying,
Yeah,
so.
sure.
They got to be used to it now with Jim, though. Like,
Yeah.
they
I mean,
know how that works.
I'm sure it's fine. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's
Yeah.
fine. So, I know you've sort of had your dad's company.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us a little bit about the company and what
Yeah.
you do and sort of maybe your progression into now where you're at with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dynamic Developments was started back in 1997. So we just celebrated our 25-year anniversary last July.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And basically, this was the dream child of my dad, Ed. He, again, I'm the oldest of 5, and he was sick of working for people that he didn't believe in, didn't follow what they preached. And he always thought, I can teach leadership and communication better than the people that I'm working for.
I love that. Yeah.
So why am I working for people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it was a big jump on his part, but I give a lot of credit to my mom because she was the one that said, no, you take this risk. We're going to be okay.
Right.
There's always a good mom.
There is, right.
Yeah, every
And
story has a good mom.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what it was. And, she gave my dad that courage to go out and start this company. And, it's helped raise 5 kids. It's put kids through college. It's been awesome.
Yep.
So I've been teaching for him for about 8 years. It used to be part-time, kind of over the summers when I wasn't being a school counselor. Would teach the communication and leadership classes. And he approached me one day and said, hey, would you ever want to come on and do this full-time? And I thought about it, and I was like, I don't know. And I remember, speaking of good moms, I was talking to my wife about it. And I said, it's unstable. It's consulting.
Yep.
Right.
When times are good, they're good. And when times are bad,
They're really bad. Yeah.
they're really bad. And you're looking like, do I need to get a new job here?
Yeah.
And I will never forget this. My wife said, as long as I've known you, Brian, your whole goal in your life is to help people. That's all I've ever wanted to do is just, how can I help people the most? And she said, as a school counselor, there's no doubt about it. You make an impact on 150 girls. I was at DSHA at the time,
Yeah.
or 150, 200 students, however many you have. She goes, and that's incredible. And you're making a difference there. She goes, but if you take your dad's business and you do what you want to do with it. And my dad always had 1 or 2 solid clients throughout his career. I always wanted to say, well, if I'm ever going to take it over, we're going to have 15, 20, 30, 50, 75, 90, 100 clients. We're going to grow. And I'll never forget, my wife looks at me and goes, imagine the impact you can have on people's lives if you do what you say you're going to do.
Right.
There's a big difference between reaching 150 girls, which is amazing.
Yes,
That
of
is
course.
absolutely incredible.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you teach, 10 classes with 20 people in it. And then they go and bring that home. And then they tell somebody else. And they tell somebody else. And then you get to do this podcast that I'm very blessed to start up. And
Yeah.
however many listeners tune in. And it's, as she said, you will touch and make an impact on more people's lives if you take a risk on yourself and do this.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Perspective, yeah.
And that's what it was. And that's it. So for the last almost 2 years now, Ed, I call him Ed when we talk work, and then he's dad or grandpa when we talk family. But we've been working really close, and just recently he's kind of given me the full reins and said, it's your show, run with it. So we've amped up our marketing. We're trying to get a following on social media.
Sure.
The 6 Degrees of Leadership podcast, which just released a couple weeks ago in January, is kind of our way of saying, okay, yes, we can teach you communication. We have all these great leadership workshops or presentation skills workshops.
Yeah.
And now here's all this other stuff that we haven't done in the past to help even more people is the way I look at it.
That's awesome. I always feel like the start of something really cool like this does start with one person giving you a perspective.
Yes.
And I had that with my speaking route. I someone who I know and trust was like, you need to do this. Like, they saw that I really wanted it. I was nervous. I'm like, can I actually do that?
Yeah.
And I got approached like full on, like if basically if you don't do this, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
That's
Like, this is happening.
and I needed to do it,
Yeah.
and it was, because I was like 90% there, but the 10% is all it takes to like stop.
Absolutely.
And one person that you know and trust, which is obviously what you had. I think that's so critical, and that's why words matter. Like if you feel strongly about someone in your life doing something or not doing something, tell them. And if you try, if you're a trusted confidant, that's a significant portion. I feel like we all too often, particularly for the positive things, just hold back on that. It's like let them know, like that makes a difference, and people can quite literally go after something that they are passionate about because you told them to. And that's it's a call. I just totally I love that.
It is. Well, again, shameless plug. The next episode of 6 Degrees of Leadership that'll come out in 2 weeks. I have a speaker, best-selling author. His name's Jake Kelfer.
Okay.
And he comes on there and he says exactly that. He's like, we talk about, how to build a positive work environment, how to be a better leader. And one of the things he jumps on, he says, you tell people how good they are.
Right.
And he brought this example. He goes, Brian, I really like your beard. It looked like you trimmed it today. It looks really good. I was like, oh, thanks. I appreciate it. He goes, and he looked at me in the middle of the podcast. He goes, how do you feel right now? Well, I feel good. Like, that was really nice of you to say something. He goes, yeah, you know how long it took me to think about that? I know. He goes, 1 second.
Yeah.
It's like that 1 second made me think, well, I'm going to give Brian a compliment, and you feel really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we do more of that?
Yeah.
Like, we appreciate things.
Totally
We're happy
agree.
with how something turns out. Let the person know.
Yeah.
It takes 2 seconds.
Yeah. I've heard someone say that people like we say things at funerals that we should say like every day. It's like why, or at birthdays, whatever. Like
right.
Yeah.
We wait for those special moments.
That's it. Like you don't have to wait for that. So I think that's so cool. And then now you're able to take that and build it bigger and do it on your own sort of accord.
Correct.
And obviously following in the footsteps of a giant and now making it your thing. And what's I know that's so exciting. Like what's been the most challenging part of that? Like have you I guess working with some of those
everything.
folks? Right. Like, is there one?
No, it's honestly, and you can ask anybody who's running a company, any entrepreneur. It depends on the day.
Yeah, it's true.
There are times where Dad and I went head to head, and neither of us wanted to back down. And then 2 hours later, he was coming over for dinner and hanging out with my kids and his grandkids. And I'm like, that wasn't a fun time when we were going at it.
Yeah.
There are times where, hey, you lose a client and you're like, I don't know how we're going to make money this month.
Right.
You do your projections out and like, we're going to be down for 6 months here, honey. What do we do?
Right.
And it's, well, you find ways to find other clients. I think, honestly, if I had to think of the biggest challenge that I guess is maybe recurring is self-doubt.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, if I'll be very blunt and honest,
that's 100%.
Can I do this?
I think we all go through that.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have moments where, like people ask me my budget and I still question, am I really worth that?
Yes.
Right.
Every
absolutely.
time I send the email out,
Yeah.
like you should see my hesitation. I'm like, I'll go back and forth to draft. I'm like, should I say that? And then I'm always like, is that reasonable for you? And sometimes I'm just like, just give them the damn price. Like,
Yes.
you've been doing this for 10 years. Like, you're a
Right.
professional. And it just has never, that self-doubt is a very, very powerful, terrifying, but like, what am I trying to say? Like you can control it in a way sometimes.
Yes.
So like you find ways to control it, but
it's how you react to that self-doubt.
Yeah.
It's it's okay. So I'm doubting myself here. All right. How do I know I should be doing this?
Yeah.
Well, then you just remind yourself of all the past accomplishments.
Exactly.
I'm really big on, I have a positive email folder. So when
love that.
clients or someone
Yeah.
sends me, hey, we really appreciate this. Hey, I haven't fought with my wife in 3 months after your class, and that's because of what you taught us.
love it.
Pull that open.
I have a
for
good.
you.
I call mine good vibes.
Good. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes I read it at night.
Yes,
you need
you
that.
need
Like,
it.
I want to like be clear about this.
I need a good vibes.
Yeah, dude, make a good.
I'm
vibes
telling you,
folder.
it is. It's
Seriously
amazing.
the best. It's and I forward shit to that all the time, and I'm like, I'm gonna want to look at that later. I'm having an off day. Like nothing better than reading through stuff because like it's a reminder that you did that. Like it's not like it's a boastful thing. It's a combative thing to make the situation more positive. And it's a best practice. Like my first boss told me to do this at the place I work now, and it changed every. She's like add this to your good vibes folder. I'm like okay, and I did it. I'm like I'm so good. I did that.
Yep.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an amazing idea.
I'll have to build one.
Yeah.
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 You've got a unique situation that we haven't really encountered here on the show before, I think, in the sense that you kind of got to grow up around a business forming.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you had exposure to it just
Yep.
by being there, and we talk to a lot of people that they're the first generation doing it.
Right.
How much were you kind of observing this stuff when you were little? And like, do you think you were kind of absorbing it then, or do you think that like it wasn't until you were really? I mean, obviously 8th grade.
Right.
You said I'd love to take.
It sounded
over the
cool in 8th
business."
grade, right? Yeah.
But like, do you think you know just kind of being around that, not having, I guess maybe the typical dad experience of like dad comes home from work, he's tired, he's grumpy, whatever. You have the sense of like it's dad's business, not dad works for a boss.
Right.
So do you think that affected kind of your outlook on starting a bit or getting involved with the business?
Yes and no. So what I mean by that is the business side of it, I had no idea.
Okay.
Like when there was hard financial times, my parents did everything they could to shield that from us.
Okay.
When times were great, my parents shielded that from us.
Right,
So,
right,
you know, as far as running a business or how stressed was dad growing up, I could not tell you. And I can't tell you how appreciative I am now with my own kids of like, they never put a financial burden on us as kids or told us, oh, we have to cut back because of this. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm saying it worked great for us.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
So from that piece of it, I would say, honestly, it didn't hit me until I started working for him and seeing how he did things and asking questions and, hey, why don't we do this instead? Or, Dad, you ever try this? And I think that's what's been cool over the last 2 years is I've taken so much from him. And I also think he's taken different ideas from me.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And then, okay, how can we blend these together?
Yeah.
You know, how can we work together with this?
Yeah.
What I've taken away, I guess, from not the business side, but the content. So, you know, what I teach is it's centered around leadership. But to me, leadership starts with communication.
Yep.
You have to know how to communicate. We teach something called the platinum rule. Everyone knows the golden rule.
Yes.
Treat others the way you want to be
I
treated.
love this. I know where you're going with this.
Platinum rule is how you communicate. Treat others the way they want to be treated.
Okay.
So everybody has a different. We work with something called social style, communication styles. Another way to look at it. Everybody wants to be communicated differently. It's our job as leaders. I would say it's our job as people in relationships to make that other person feel comfortable.
Yep.
And that means I have to adjust how I communicate based on the person I'm talking to. And that was drilled into me ever since I was little. That and the idea of I've always had a quick temper. You know, I'm that stereotypical Irishman. You know, I got the temper.
Same.
My style is what's known as an expressive style. What we teach, expressives are known to be hothead. Like I'm that stereotype. And I always remember, you know, hey, take your deep breaths. Take your deep breath before you react. And now I'm teaching that to my clients. I'm teaching that to my kids.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's from the business, it was more the content that always stuck with me, more so than the business side of it, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah.
Also, side note, quick temper makes for a good basketball coach.
Depends on the quick temper, but yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get them all fired up.
some
Other
love
times they're like, what is wrong with
Have
you,
you ever been
coach?
booted from a game?
I have not. No.
Okay. Like, have you been teed up?
Not in a high school game.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
AAU.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Was it just
Back-
like a
I
bonkers
was.
foul? Like,
Oh yeah, I was still in high school at the time.
Oh, really?
Coaching AAU.
Yeah.
And one, I thought I knew more than the official. Two, let's be honest, it's AAU official, so I probably did know more than the official at the time. It was just a bad call, and I was yelling across to like, what? It was basically
To the other
explain
guy
this
on the
to
other
me.
side.
Yeah. What happened?
Like, and he walked over and he goes, "You don't yell at me from across." I go, "Well, then you answer my question when you're wrong."
Yeah.
Like,
I want to coach someday.
Yeah.
Like basketball. I'm going to be teed up in a moment. Like I could already tell. I
coached.
yeah.
I
That'll be
coached
bad.
grade school basketball with my wife.
Yeah.
Grade school girls basketball.
oh, God bless you.
Let me tell you, it was not a good team. I mean, we were a small team of like 5 or 6. The only
Yeah.
the only girls that went out, and we were getting crushed.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
But at that one point, I was like, all right, I'm going to like motivate these kids, or I'm gonna get teed up in the process.
Only one to find out.
I gave those pastors quite quite a handful to deal with. They were probably sick of me on Saturday morning.
By that time, like, can you just go away?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I will say, I got a great well, I take it as a great compliment. I had a former player and her mom came to one of the games over Christmas break. It was a close game, and after the game, the mom comes up to me. She goes, "I'm very impressed by you, coach." And I was like, "Well, that's new. You don't hear that a lot as a high school." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" She goes, "You've really mellowed out, kept your cool, and you got him playing better again." I'm like,
"That's the best compliment of all time."
I was like, "I'll take that."
Oh my gosh!
What an observant parent.
Right, to see like, hey, you've grown over the last 3 years.
It sounds like they're talking to their kid. You know, like
Right.
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's such a mom comment.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So
that's
you're
awesome.
never too old to grow and change and develop.
No, I would imagine that your work now. I mean, being a coach and a podcast host and this CEO of this company, like those things are melding together in ways that I'm sure influence each other completely. And I mean, the parallels you probably see between them are just immense.
It's uncanny. I mean, I feel like I have 3 different jobs, and they're all the same in some way, shape, or form. Totally. You know,
because it's funny. Not to interrupt, but
go ahead.
we get a lot of people on here who are. I'm just going to give an example. Are a nurse and then make crafts on the side, just things that are seemingly have nothing to do with each other.
Right.
But there's always a connection.
Absolutely.
Right.
Always, and it's yours is a lot more clear, obviously. But I find it fascinating where like. You're like, huh? Like one of the things you love is when people do something that has nothing to do with their with their
exactly.
side.
Like we've
that's
had
his favorite.
We had a teacher that was also a wrestling promoter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just like
love that.
You know, but like but hearing them explain it, there's something that feeds into it.
Yes.
And I love that. Like that's the thing, you know. And yours obviously is a lot more clear, but I think it's really cool that the things that you really are passionate about really mold into each other.
Right.
And
you're right.
Make you better in each.
And I think that's true. Whether you're teaching and then promoting wrestling, it doesn't seem like it on the surface, but I'm assuming there's a lot of connectivity.
Yeah.
Right.
And whether I'm coaching, whether I'm leading by example at home as a dad, whether I'm talking about leadership on a podcast or teaching it in a workshop, it comes down to what is important to me.
Yeah.
All of that is about helping people, building better relationships for people, getting people to communicate better. I mean,
I was gonna say communication
that
seems like the through
enormous.
for everything.
it is. I mean, when it comes down to it, I don't want to say it's the most important thing, but I can't think of anything that's more important than communication in relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's personal relationships, that's professional relationships, that's acquaintances, it's friends. If you can be a great communicator, you'll get respect and commitment back from anybody. If you're a great communicator, you can persuade people to get on board with your plan, your thoughts, your ideas.
Right.
I mean, if you're a great communicator, you build better relationships because then you become a better listener.
Yeah.
It is, to me, it is the foundation of so many of the great things in life. But for those of us that can't communicate or don't communicate or refuse to change how we communicate,
that's the worst.
Yeah.
that's the foundation of so many bad things.
Yeah,
in
the
this life.
refusal is like my least. I've worked with, and I call these people. I steal this from John Gordon, who's a great author. Energy vampires.
Yep.
Yeah, my favorite. Like I know so many of those.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm actually to the point of unless I need to be with them. I'm like I don't surround myself with people like that anymore.
You can't.
It's just suck the energy right out of the room, and it's like an attitude thing. It's like you know you're doing it wrong. You just refuse to fix it.
Correct.
Things won't go well. Like
Right.
rinse and repeat every time. You know, and it
Right.
drives me bananas. And I can
Right.
imagine people that like. I like. Do you run into that with your clients? Of people who just refuse to be like they're like I got it. Like I'm seasoned veterans. And how do you combat that attitude?
Well, the first thing I tell them is what's great about our class, what's great about communication and versatility is I can give you all the tools. I can give you everything you need. We'll do follow-ups. We'll do whatever you need.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I'm not going to make you do any of this.
Right.
You can choose to be versatile or you can choose to be a great communicator.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. I had client a couple weeks ago. I don't believe any of this stuff. We did a full 360-degree survey on this person. I'm like, that's great. You don't have to believe it. But what the data shows us is that this is how people perceive you.
Right.
So
like
there is, you can't argue with that.
the moment where they go, oh wait, it's me.
And I remember talking to him and I said, and here's the deal. You can look at me and say, I don't care. Or you can try and put into practice these tools I'm giving you and see if your relationships at work get any better.
Exactly.
Right.
It's up to you.
It's up to you. So I've had that. And then I've had, some people get up, and I remember a different client about a year ago gets up and says, yeah, I've done these seminars, these workshops before. He goes, I feel like I'm a pretty good leader, so doubt I'm going to get anything, but, I feel good. I said, hey,
what an attitude.
Right. You're walking into something. It's
I don't have the courage to say anything like that in my life.
Followed it up with hello, which is
oh my
the weird
God.
part.
Right. Yeah. and I look at him and go, hey, that's great, man.
Sure.
My goal is to make sure that I can give you one thing you haven't heard yet. But let me tell you this, buddy. And he looks at me and I go, if you're done learning, that means you're done leading.
There you go.
And the whole room went silent.
Woo.
They looked at him. And then at the end of this class, we had everybody stand up and kind of present back, what did you learn? And he gets up there and he goes, I didn't think I was going to learn anything. He goes, turns out I didn't know anything.
Wow.
So it's like you
century,
get the both.
That's
where
great.
it's people are like, okay, I'm bought in.
Yep.
I'm going to learn here.
Yep.
And then you get the, no, I'm not going to. And I tell people, I can't force you to.
Yeah.
You can choose this, and based on your choice, which I think is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Like people don't believe they have a choice in so many things. You can choose
all
to
the
be a
time.
communicator, a
Yeah,
good
all the
communicator
time.
or not.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're going to continue to have poor relationships at work and at home.
Yeah. And I think that is so, very obviously true that, you have to keep learning and keep adapting and whatever. But I think not only in your regular job, in your side hustle as well, it's important to keep learning what the next thing is, the next tool is, the next, maybe mindset thing, any aspect of how you want to look at it. That's so correct that, I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, I don't stop learning.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You can't afford to stop learning.
Yeah.
We recorded 7 of this episodes of the podcast, which is brand new. Released 3 of them, and each one I'm like, all right, I got to do this better.
Right.
Or my brother is kind of our sound guy. He goes, hey, you got to make sure that this is turned off for them. Oh, never knew that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a little bit long. Cut this out. Hey, don't ask this question. You're constantly getting feedback off
Of course.
things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I can look at everybody like, no, I'm great at this.
Right.
And then people are going to stop listening because I'm not
exactly.
great at this.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you got to humble yourself.
Yeah, and after 51 episodes, like there's still constantly things I'm like I could improve on.
Right.
That. And again, if you feel like you're good, like then that's it. You're
Right.
not gonna grow. You're done, and that's good luck. But I and even as like I've been speaking professionally now for 10 years, and every time I give a keynote, like I walk away with like, oh, like that was like that's a good takeaway. I'll write something down of like, or like a student will come up to me and say something, and I'm like, I didn't even think of that. That's a really good point. Or and so it's like people always ask me, do you get nervous? And I'm like, yeah. Like if I didn't get nervous, I shouldn't do this anymore. Like I'm not nervous about the content necessarily because I didn't do that, but I'm nervous about connecting with people. Like I'm like, I hope that they get something from this. And the day that I go up and I'm not like freaking out is the day that I probably should stop doing it. And because it's funny, people are surprised when they're like, "You're nervous." I'm like, "Yeah, you're damn right. I'm nervous. I care about it. Like I care that they get something away, and I care that I grow from it too. Because it's as a man of faith too. Like it's a spiritual experience for me too. When sometimes I'll say something I don't even remember saying, and a student will come up to me. I love when you said that. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I guess I said that. You know, and it's wild. It's really,
and I think that's what's cool is you never know what you say is going to hit somebody differently every single time.
Yeah.
Or it might completely miss an audience this time. And then next time you've changed 3 lives because
it makes
it just latches
so
on
exciting and then also like terrifying in a way of like, hope this works, especially if I try something new.
Right.
I'm like, I'll actually preface it. I'm like, guys just wrote this. So like, let's see
what happens. Yeah.
Like,
Tell me if you like
and
it.
it makes it more humanized because then they're like, oh, now I'm paying attention, and it's fun. And I'm like, also let me know what you think. Like I would love to hear, and I love doing that, getting extra feedback.
And you're being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And
there's connection and vulnerability.
Yeah.
There is,
doubt.
right? We've all been there before.
Yeah.
You just
And
you gotta
I've
open
always
yourself
found
up.
like no one relates to perfect. People relate to authentic.
Yeah.
Like if I mess up something, I'm gonna say it. I'm like one time I was doing a keynote and I was 3 minutes into a section and I realized that I totally skipped something really critical. This is like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I would like I had to go back.
Right.
And I went, all right. I done messed up. I was like, I didn't go well. And I started doing a cha-cha side. I was like, reverse.
There you go.
And then and they all loved it. And I'm like, did this part and then went back. And I was like, you just got to roll with it. Like, like here you go. And it makes it more fun. And that part of like being authentic is important to what you do, and if people can't relate to you during your sessions, they're not going to get anything from it. Like they have to see
absolutely
part of what, like, okay, I can actually, this is a human being. I do want to listen. and like be real about where I'm at in my leadership life or style, or whatever it might be.
Oh yeah, some of the best feedback I get, because every time we teach something, we try and base it in science, data, facts, but then you tell a story to illustrate it. That's kind of how I do a lot of things, and some of the best received stories are the ones where I screw up, and they're like, wait, you teach this, you have a master's degree in this, and you get it wrong sometimes. Like, absolutely,
I do,
right?
Yeah,
but
not God.
leadership is a practice in patience.
Yeah.
Not am I going to be patient just with my team. I got to be patient with me too.
Yeah.
And realize I got outside stress. I might miss something. I might get angry when I shouldn't get angry. And admit it and then move on from it and get better.
Yeah. For sure. So you were mentioning scaling up the business and doing a lot of new things, trying a lot of new concepts out. You are still working with your dad on that stuff. So what was the reception when you say, hey, I'm going to come in and I'm going to take this thing to the moon. I'm going to, do all of this stuff. Has he been receptive to that sort of thing?
For a vast majority of it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. I think one of the things that, speaking of screwing up, I've realized is I have to, in my head, I was always, protecting his legacy because he's done some amazing things. For 25 years on his own. And everything I was doing, I was like, this is going to enhance it. This is going to make it bigger. This is going to draw more people in. And I wasn't always great at articulating that. So a lot of this new idea was like, for him, it was, well, why are you changing everything? This has worked for 25 years. Hey, I want to be involved too. Why are you just running with this? And it was literally just miscommunication on like, no, I'm trying to honor your legacy. I'm trying to let you go enjoy, get out, leave. And when I need help, you're the first person I call.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly.
And I did a terrible job of explaiing that to him where he was like, well, Brian just wants to take this and do whatever he wants and forget about it. I'm like, no, that's not what I want. So, but I would say a vast majority of things, I've been very blessed where if he doesn't like it, he'll let me know. And then he'll be like, maybe after talking to my mom, he'll be like, okay, it's yours now. You do with it what you will.
Yeah.
And here's some advice on how to go about doing this.
Right.
That's awesome. That's really great that he's, I mean,
that's
at
not
least
easy.
the
No, it's
slightest
not.
bit willing.
Yeah. Correct. Yes.
I mean?
Right.
So
yeah, it's been a process, but I think he's at that point too where, he's very trusting of me now. And I give him credit because it can't be easy doing something for 25 years, like building it from nothing, coming up with different workshops, different workbooks, he has a whole leadership model that he's created.
Yeah. Establishing
everything. Everything. And then you have your son coming in and be like, all right, thank you. Yeah. This is amazing. All right, now I'm going to do this 100-fold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the very first things I did, I came in, I said, hey, if I'm going to come here, we're revamping the website and the logo.
Yeah.
And he's like, why would we do that? And I'm like, because you haven't revamped the website or logo since July of 1996 when you opened the company.
That's why.
And to his credit, run with it. Yeah. So did a whole rebrand. I was in charge of it. And, I would get feedback from him. But at the end of the day, it was kind of, look, you're going to be in charge of this company for the next 25 years. I'll give you my opinion, but you get to make the final say in it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what do you think is the immediate kind of next steps, immediate future for you right now in terms of growth? And I mean, the podcast is part of that.
Yeah. This is where I know this is for years of me failing in different areas of I have a lot of big ideas. I want to do this and this shiny thing and this shiny thing and this shiny thing. And all 7 shiny things are going to bring us 100,000 clients.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. So for me, it's coming up with all my ideas that I want, but then picking the ones that are actually going to work.
Sure.
So what I mean by that is podcast. I've been wanting to do a podcast for 7 years. I've come up with every excuse not to start a podcast. And I finally said, nope, this is one I'm passionate about, but 2, I can loop into the company and help us grow. Did 3 episodes, have already got a client out of it.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So that's amazing. So that's something like, okay, we're going to keep doing this because this is helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But right now, out of the 100,000 ideas, it's all about getting more and more clients so that, because right now my little brother works for me, so that he has enough money to support his new wife and his life.
Yeah.
I have enough money to support our family, and then I can get more clients to hire more people and more people. And once we start hiring people that can do trainings every day, well, that is when I can start doing all the different shiny things that are in the back
less
pocket.
on your plate.
There's less on my plate, right?
Yeah,
but none of that happens until you start with one thing, and that one thing is getting clients.
Well,
So
it's so important that you've had like those failures along the way to now have the perspective of like the amazing things you want to do, but I got to focus on one.
Yes.
I got to get one done before I do the 90 things.
Right.
Because I believe, and I've known you for a long time, that
Yeah.
you're going to do these things.
Thank you.
It's getting the first steps along.
It is,
and
right.
I'm in a podcast, a hell of a start. That sounds like we should start a podcast. Yeah, that sounds like
We should start a podcast.
That'd be good. Yeah,
I feel like you guys are naturally fit for it.
I think
If you ever need a
guest,
guest, I'd be happy to
Oh,
join
that'd
too.
be
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
we could do a solid 50 episodes.
Oh, let's go.
Probably.
I would probably cut it off after that though.
Yeah,
It's too
it's-
many.
Then
Yeah.
we just run.
Yeah.
You may recognize a voice on Brian's podcast pretty soon.
Oh, look at this.
Little
That's
podcast
another-
swap?
Little teaser,
another
little
tease.
podcast swap. Yeah, that is the greatest thing. I love doing a
podcast swap.
podcast.
It's
swap.
awesome.
You get a guest, I get a guest. We're good to go. So I guess spoiler alert, I might be on Brian's podcast. at some point.
I assumed.
What if it was someone else? What if
Somebody
I was like,
else. You
My
just didn't
friend
know.
Dan is going to be on his podcast.
He's actually waiting outside.
He's got an identical twin. Does the same.
gonna be wild.
No. So let's help you with that next
Yes.
step. If people want to find their your podcast and
Yes.
business,
Yeah.
Yes.
where's the best place to go and do that at?
Best place is www.dynamicdevelopments.net. So that's where you find everything business related. So our weekly blog posts, all of our different workshops that we offer, and there's a write-up on all of them. There's a contact form. We offer a free 1-hour consultation because I really believe in nothing should be just pull this from the shelf. This works for you. So we
Yeah.
meet with every client first to see, wait, what do you actually need from us? And how can we adjust what we're good at to fit you?
Awesome.
So that'd be the first thing. The next way will be LinkedIn.
Okay.
Just Brian Hendricks on LinkedIn. I do most of my posting and social media. Everything's on there. Podcast goes up there. All of our YouTube videos, everything goes there. The other way is through Twitter, Instagram. Dad Hendo.
Okay.
I put my leadership stuff on there, but that is the place for me to be
I love
dad.
it, yeah.
Like,
That's where dad exists.
yeah, that's where Dad.
I just
Hendo
so
exists.
appreciate that. Like, that's it. That's
That,
it.
like, I'll be honest, and I
love
thought about
it.
it. I was like, maybe I should get a professional
No.
Twitter and a professional.
Dad Hendo is exactly what it needs.
And I thought about it, I'm like, but that's not who I am.
Well,
like
right,
when I
absolutely.
teach, I
Yeah.
bring stories about being a dad
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's a leadership role.
Yeah.
Right.
So Dad Hendo, it's definitely not as professional as the LinkedIn.
Whatever. Yeah.
But Dad Hendo, you're going to get a lot of the communication leadership, and you are going to get, especially after basketball season, you're going to get at least one dad joke a day.
Awesome. Now I
That
noticed
is-
you didn't
that is
mention the MySpace URL, which is Big Daddy Hendo.
Big Daddy
From
Hendo,
that,
yeah. Back
You
from
can also add
1998,
him on
yeah.
yeah, perfect. By the way, my MySpace URL, you guys can look this up.
Is it still there?
Oh, it exists because I look it up just to make sure every time. But it's this is how weird I was when I was 15. But it's /love is steaming hot. That's was my
Wow,
And
that's,
there's no G after steaming. It's like it's just the IN
N apostrophe.
Yeah, and an
Oh,
HOT.
oh, yeah.
It is outrageous, and I love I'm like I almost put it on my resume because I'm so proud of that, and I didn't for the record. But I think it's
I
hysterical.
think for now that's a smart idea,
Yeah,
but in
Once
years
I
down
get-
the road,
you look at this. Yeah,
Put it on
Hey,
here.
everything comes full circle.
It does.
It does.
But it is. I'm almost too proud of it, frankly. But
That's okay.
It's there, it exists, and I have a top 8 still on Friends.
Oh, there you go.
We're good.
I still have a
That's
beat
awesome.
making. I still have a music production one.
Oh,
for,
perfect.
Production MySpace. So there you go.
Yeah,
Love
got
You heard it here first.
Add us on MySpace.
there you go.
We're out there.
We exist.
But actually, if you want to follow this podcast, be sure to do so. We are on every platform that you can get your podcasts at as well. We are also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're on TikTok.
Yes, sir.
We're hustling sideways everywhere. Thank you so much for coming
you,
down
Yes,
and doing
thank you
this.
for having me. I loved it. It
course.
was awesome.
And if you would also like to be a guest on the show, if you've got a podcast, side hustle, a passion project,
Any of those things.
I looped it all together.
Uh-huh.
You can send us an email over at hustlingsideways@gmail.com, and you too could be right here on this show.
right
So,
here or on Zoom. One of the two. But either
One of
way,
the
you
two.
could be here. Yeah.
It's worth it, guys. I promise.
There we go. It's worth it. And you've
heard
made
it
it
here.
this far
Yeah.
into the episode,
Yeah.
so it's worth it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much once
Yeah,
again. And
absolutely.
Jim,
Keep on hustling.
we will see you next week on Hustling Sideways.